What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sports with Warbs. It is good to be back. This is my first video in 2 months, as you guys probably know. I was moving back to my home province. As you can see, I'm back in my old setup. I was finishing school. I was starting a job, but it's finally done. Here I am, and we've got a brand new hockey season to cover. I will be covering it like I did last year. I just want to say this year, I'm thinking I might want to cover a little bit more of the Oilers because that is the thing I have the most passion for, and it's the most I could talk about. It motivates me the most. I care about it the most. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, first of all, the 2021-2022 season is a big one for the Edmonton Oilers. If that wasn't obvious enough, I think it is now. Obviously, let's just touch on the past couple seasons real quick. The COVID shortened season. It was a nice 71 games played, 37 wins, 25 losses, and 9 overtime losses for the Oilers. They were in a playoff spot when the season ended. That was the year Draisaitl obviously won the Hart, kind of cemented himself as one of the top players. But it didn't matter because we went up to Chicago in the play-in round. Then last year, obviously, North Division, 35 wins, 19 losses, 2 overtime losses. Great year for the Oilers until we get back to the playoffs. So what's the case? I don't know. I've heard Leafs of the West, which I absolutely hate that nickname. And I hope this year we can take that nickname, give it back to the Leafs, and move on. So without further ado, let's get into it. The quick preseason Sports with Warbs Oilers preview. So I'm just going to go through some things, organize it as best I can, starting with the key additions. So I'm going to give you the addition I am most happy about, the most excited about, the most amount of faith in, and it shouldn't really come as a surprise, but that's Zach Hyman. I think this was a great move for them. We've seen the preseason games. I was saying that I made a video on it at the time. We've kind of seen him play, skate with McDavid and Puljujärvi, and they look very good. This guy's signed for 5.5 mil for 7 years. And like I said, he's just looking like kind of a very solid player that we can plug into that first line and have sit there and not be juggling constantly. The thing with the Oilers is the depth wasn't good enough before. And we had these great players up front, but there wasn't enough supporting cast. And it was like 5 games into the season before Zach Kassian's playing every minute with McDavid, or James Neal is getting the nod for the first line and then going out with his stone hands and missing 4 open nets. So the fact that we can just take Hyman and plug him in with McDavid, Puljujärvi, at least for this year. Obviously, I know Puljujärvi doesn't have his contract. We'll get into him. But for this year, we can put that as our front 3. Then Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and Yamamoto on the bottom, the middle 6, second line. And that takes care of that. And that's something that I think is taken for granted for, because like I said, constantly throughout these years, we've been having to bring people up from the 3rd and 4th line to play on that first line and have no sustainability. And it's worked at times. It hasn't worked at times. I mean, Pat Maroon did a good job. Neil did a good job for like 5 games, but it's nice to have someone there. So let's just say I'm very excited about Hyman. 7 years. I mean, welcome to Edmonton. I hope you like it. People are obviously very hesitant to talk about contracts when it comes to these wingers, especially ones that play hard, work hard like him, who could possibly go down. But the way I look at it, I try to be glass half full, as you can see in my Keith video. The fact that guys want to sign here now. There's a long time where guys just wouldn't even give us a sniff. Even if they played here, they would want to get out. The fact that it's not like that, we've got guys signing long-term deals, is a good thing to me. I'm very happy with that. Down to the bottom 6 a little more, William Fogle. So we traded Ethan Bear for him, which is an interesting hockey trade. I personally like it because obviously I was very excited for Bear 2 years ago. He was playing very well, playing top 4, but last year he didn't exactly seem to figure it out. And we don't exactly have time on our side with this team. And we kind of needed guys who we could sign upper tier, bottom 6 guys. We didn't have a lot of them, or if any of them. And now we've got Fogle, we've got Derek Ryan, who is a former Flame, but he's been good as a solid 3rd line center. I think anyone in the league would kind of give that a fair shake. And then you have Cassian, who obviously went down the other night. That would look brutal, but he's obviously bringing that grit to the third line. He's still in the lineup. I mean, they paid him. They better be putting him in the lineup in some way. But I really like this move. 3 years, 2.75 mil. Like I said, it's a 2.75 mil. That's like a contract I see for a top or bottom six winger who's pretty good. You know, you're not going to give him a mil, but you'll give him a little more and you'll have him stay a little longer. So I do like that. 20 points in 53 games last year, 10 goals, 10 assists. I think that'll probably go up with the more games played and the offensive looks and lineups and matchups he could possibly get on this team. So yeah, the forwards feeling pretty good about Brendan Perlini, another guy who came in, who's absolutely torched it in the preseason. We've seen that a million times, though. I really don't care for preseason games, to be honest. They need to be playing something for me to get excited about it. There is that last position that can be filled because Turris got the boot, which was interesting in itself, as he looked pretty good this camp, but he sucked so bad last year. I'm not too upset about it. So moving on to the defense, and this is a big one. See, I gave the Keith video with my optimism. 2 years, 5.5 mil. Haven't exactly been happy with his approach to coming to Edmonton. I don't really know why you're coming to a new team for the first time in your career in a new country. You're going to kick up such a stink about the vaccine. Listen, I'm not going to get into it here, my thoughts on it, but let's just say I can travel, and I think if you're coming to a new team, you should probably have that being one of the things. And if you really, 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 really hate it, do it. Tell your family about it. Tell your former teammates on the Blackhawks for all I care. But do not go to the Edmonton media before you've even played a game after one of the most controversial signings of the summer and start bitching and moaning. I didn't like that. We'll see. You know, he's playing on the second line with the next guy. This is a good transition for me, Cody Ceci. Now, this is the guy that I really didn't like. This is my least favorite signing the Oilers made. I've heard my friends over at Hot Take Hockey bitch and moan about Ceci, rightfully so. I heard him go to I remember he was on Ottawa. He went to Pittsburgh. He played a little better, so they signed him off that. And I've heard if he plays like he does in Pittsburgh, sheltered, then he'll be good. Well, he won't be sheltered here. He'll be on the second line with a 100-year-old Keith. But that's what I heard. Haven't exactly been that impressed with him so far, but it is a big body, and we needed to replace Larson, who, as time has gone on, it's come out that, you know, he wanted to get out of Edmonton because of the Hall situation and his dad. And you know, fair enough. I'm not really sure why he did press conferences last year saying how much he liked it, if he was always planning on leaving. But see you later. You're in our division. It'll be nice beating Seattle, I guess. But that's kind of the way it is. You know, we've got this first line, Nurse Barry re-signed. There's a lot to go over in this video. Sorry. Barry re-signed. I was decently happy with that. I loved his offense. I mean, people can give it shit, but it is what it is. Bouchard coming up into the third line role there. I think he's going to be pretty offensively sound. Actually, people maybe not think so, because in the fantasy, he was like ranked 319th for defenseman, which is interesting, but he'll get some looks. And I guess the last defense I really want to talk about as a re-sign would be Darnell Nurse. So if CC was my least favorite contract of the year, this was my second. I mean, the defensive market just to the moon this year when Jones signed for 9, Wisniewski signed for 9, didn't he? And Nurse signed for 9.25 for 8 years starting after this year. Oh my God, man. When Nurse first came to the team, obviously took a little longer. Defense would take longer to develop. He started to look good. He looked like a Norris candidate last year. I mean, people can laugh at that all they want, but he got votes for it, and he was playing very good in the regular season. So, I mean, if he keeps that up, then all for you. But it's just, I know you got to lock up your number 1D, but he's going to be here for 9 more years and 9.25. I mean, maybe in 8 years from now, that'll look like a steal. But right now, I'm kind of like, ugh. We'll see. There's still, I mean, Yamamoto re-signed 1 year, 1.175, clearly a bridge deal. I hope he has a good year, but I hope it's good enough that we can keep him, because like I said, I like having stability on that top 6, and he's shown he can provide it on that second line. Nuge obviously took a great pay cut for us, 5.125 for 8 years. That's awesome as your second line winger who you can rely on. He's It's probably going to be the first Oiler to play his entire career here, and which is pretty special to me because I remember when he got drafted from, I think it was Red Deer back in the day. But yeah, I like that deal. But, like I said, there's a lot of new pieces coming in, old pieces coming out and coming back. So it'll be interesting. I'll be here to cover it. This is just my first thoughts. That's a little bit of a rapid fire on the players and all the things I've missed this summer. Smith, Koskinen, the tandem, yikes. I hope Smith can stay healthy. He went down the other day for like 5 minutes, and I was like, oh man, there was so many good to potentially great goalies on the market this year that they didn't get, that I wasn't really happy with that side of the offseason, to be honest. I think it would have been better with a fresh start with this new team looking very new. Obviously, like I said, lots of new players. They need to be motivated. But Smith, he brings heart and soul. Koskinen's looked pretty good in the preseason. They said that he played like last year without his kids the entire time. He was just chilling in his hotel room. I can only imagine how bad that would be for you mentally. So I'll give him the benefit of a doubt. But we'll see. That contract, I'm glad, is done soon. And so that's the player rapid fire. And now I'll move it on to the last part of the video, the Pacific Division, which is where they'll be playing. How are the Oilers actually going to do this year? Well, the Pacific Division is one of the worst divisions in hockey. Let's be real. They've got Calgary, who's kind of meddling in the middle. They've got Vancouver, who could potentially be good, but had a tough year last year and needs some things to go their way. They've got the brand new Kraken, who's going to be like the Golden Knights. I don't know. Speaking of the Golden Knights, that is who I think the Oilers' best competition is. I think they're going to be 1-2 competing this year, and it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm really hoping we can kind of just do what we're told this year, and this team that Holland has put all his chips in for can come together. But I'm ready for the hockey season. Maybe some football videos thrown in there as well. Wednesday night we start the Edmonton Oilers. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll talk to you later.